Hey guys, it's been a minute since my last video, and if I'm being honest, the reason I have not made another video since then hasn't been because I have not had the right thing to talk about. But there's this thing with when you have too much knowledge of how things should go. You know how to say too much knowledge can also be damning. I wanted the whole video to be perfect. I wanted to have a videographer record me. My husband's a sound engineer. I wanted him to, mic me and all of that. And I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then I would just always hear in my head, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be out there. Especially with the kinds of videos that I make where I'm sharing and hoping that someone gets blessed from it. It's not like I'm just running a sort of gossip blog or anything. So I just kept getting that nudge in my spirit that it didn't have to be perfect. It just needed to be out there to, help someone, bless someone. And so here we are, recording from my bedroom. My toddler is somewhere in the house. Hopefully she doesn't interrupt. Speaking of toddlers, my daughter is 18 months old today, and feels good. Finally, I've weaned her. I've tried. Like, I did the whole 6 month thing, and was striving to do the 2 years as recommended as the WHO, but nah, I'm done, over and out. And so yeah, weaned her, and it just really all got me thinking how far I have come. My husband and I still share this inside joke where we say, "Oh my God, very soon we'll be married for would have been married for 3 years, 3 whole years." It still feels like we're just those two young people who just really liked each other. Trying to make the best decisions. For ourselves as individuals, and then here we are, married with a child, and it kind of made me want to make my next topic in line with the last one I posted, dealing with pregnancy and avascular necrosis, AVN, of the femoral head. And I just wanted to share on the motherhood aspect to it, right? First of all, I'm not an expert. I should try. I don't even think I need to say that. I mean, I'm a first time mom, and I just want to share my experience from that perspective. So, when I found out I was pregnant in 2020, I think I found out around August, September ish. Yeah, I think I found out around September that I was pregnant. And first thing that crossed my mind was, I'm going to be a mom. You know, I remember after seeing the double lines on the strip, I wasn't convinced because the lines were faint, or maybe it was just me who thought they were faint. So I went to a scan center, got a scan done, and it was confirmed that I was pregnant. And I decided, okay, how am I going to tell my husband? He was at work at the time. So from the scan center, I went to a baby store. First time walking into one. I walked into a baby store, and I said I wanted to buy something uh, for my baby. And they were like, oh, baby, I obviously wasn't showing at that time. They were like, oh, okay, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I just want something. Uh, Maybe socks. And he was like, oh yeah, you can buy socks. So she just brought out, this pack of socks that had like 5 socks in it. And then she says, is that all you want to buy? I'm like, yeah, I actually just found out I was pregnant, and I just want something that I can use to tell my husband. She's like, oh, that's so sweet. And so I just bought it, took it home, and when my husband came back from work really late at night, I first of all gave him the socks, the pack of socks. I was like, oh, you got me socks, thank you. He didn't check, he didn't pay attention to check. He was like, oh, you got me socks, thank you, that's so sweet. I was just like, okay. So I went inside and I brought the envelope where the scan result was put into, and then I gave it to him, and I said, yeah, someone dropped off a letter for you earlier. I was like, a letter? Could it be our landlord or what? So he opened it, and he was just looking at it. He was like, what am I looking at? Okay, he didn't have his glasses on at the time. I was like, oh, what am I looking at? Hold on, let me get my glasses. So he went in, got his glasses, and then read it. And then he was like, oh my God. So he screamed for something. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a dad, And it's like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And that's when he now paid extra attention to the socks I had given him and said, oh, it was socks for a baby, and really emotional moment. And then we spent the whole night. We barely slept that night. We just, would randomly say, babe, we're going to be parents, and it was exciting. It was scary. I'm not going to lie. There was fear. And the reason was I was at the time interviewing for the job that I do now, and I was worried about how being pregnant, at the interview stage, of a job, um, I was worried about how it was going to reduce my chances or even probably kick me out of the game. So there was that fear. I was excited to be a parent, but then there was that fear of how much it would impact me. And then there's just the general nervousness with, oh, you're going to be a parent, you're going to be in charge of a whole human life. I mean, I haven't even figured out life myself. How am I going to, be in charge of someone else's life? So there was that fear. But looking back now, I'm so grateful that it happened when it did. Me getting pregnant and having my daughter. I'm glad it happened when it did because I just, how something just happens to you and you feel like there's no better time when it could have happened. But then you don't know that at the time when it's happening, it's when you look back in retrospect, you're like, oh yeah, there was no better time for it to have happened. That's how I feel now looking back at it. And the reason for that is I remember um, at my wedding, my pastor was blessing us, after the joining, praying, and then he said some things. And then one of the words that he spoke that, was just so specific was how that in the 8 month of our marriage, something was going to happen that was going to turn our lives around, and all of that, and then when I tracked, how far gone I was, I discovered that it was in that 8 months that I conceived my daughter, and it was in that 8 months that I made significant progress. And during that, my job application, that sort of like seemingly sealed the deal, for me. And all my fears were unfounded because I did get the job, and yes, they did carry out pre-employment medical tests, so whether it is that God hid the pregnancy or that the test came out positive and then it didn't matter to them. But then now that I know and have worked with them for 2 years, I know that chances are they probably knew and it just didn't matter because, trust me, where I work is a really, really, really wonderful place to be in. Super supportive for women who have to navigate motherhood and raising a child and working. Super supportive place. So, everything just perfect. It didn't seem that way at the time, but now that I look back, it's like God's timing was just so, so, so perfect. And even though uh, having a vascular necrosis, you know, uh, made the journey a difficult and painful one. Yeah, it was a really painful one because the pain in my leg got really worse. I would walk by you and you would literally hear my bones creak, my pelvic bones. And it was, it was a lot of pain. And it was worsened because I could not take the kind of powerful pain meds that I would typically use for the leg. I couldn't take them because I was pregnant, so I had to live through that pain. And even when I was offered, pain meds that would not harm the baby, I just wanted to be safe. I wanted my baby to be born perfect, complete and all of that. So I told them I would rather be in the pain than take any pain meds at all. So I was only on my natal vitamins, the folic acid and the rest, so I didn't take any pain meds at all. So even though that pain was excruciating and pregnancy journey really tough, I am still, like I said, very grateful that it happened when it did, because what God did was he made sure that I had the people, the support that I needed. There was the financial support because, like I said, I got my job at the time. Before, prior to that time, only my husband was, you know, earning in the house, and it was a bit of a rough patch for us. So that's why we're a bit skeptical about bringing a child into the situation. So the job came, and then I had people. I am of all men blessed with the gift of people. So there was this support system, and somehow, it was like for everything I needed, there was provision. And I'm not just talking money, okay? But when we hear provision, people always think money. But I'm talking I would wake up one morning and I would feel like, oh my God, I wish I knew someone who has or who is currently 8 weeks pregnant like I am, and would tell me how they are feeling so that I can mirror my experiences with theirs. And somehow I've been in a conversation with someone and they'll mention, oh, I know someone who's pregnant. Like it was really mind blowing. For every time I had questions, somehow something somewhere would happen. That question would get answered. A need I had to get met, and it was perfect. And then I should probably say this, yeah. There's so much power in praying things ahead of time. Now, when I met my husband and we were dating, one of the things he would tease me about was, I would tease him about was, what if I get pregnant and I'm fat like a whale and my nose is big and all of that? Those kind of funny questions that we women ask. I must be like, oh no, you will not. Since I was a young child, I've been praying to God that my wife is not going to be get ugly in quotes. Nobody gets ugly, as a child, that's what he used to say. His wife's not going to get ugly in pregnancy. She's not going to have big nose and all of that. I didn't have those. I didn't. My nose didn't swell. I didn't get darker. Funny enough, I wasn't fairer. Now that I look at myself, I was fairer in pregnancy. Like I was glowing. And my husband always tease me and say, "Well, it's because I prayed ahead for you." And what if he's just teasing? The truth was he was sowing words into our future even before he met me. So the power of the word is so so important. If you have God's word going ahead of you in any situation at all, no matter how tough it gets, we are guaranteed of one thing. We're guaranteed of a perfect ending. You know, a perfect ending. The journey itself might not be, but we're assured of a perfect ending. So like I said, God's word went ahead of us, on our wedding day through my pastor, and then my husband's words, about pregnancy and how it was going to be easy for me. So even though I had that experience with AVN, pregnancy as pregnancy is and should be was pretty smooth and easy for me. I didn't have any complications, and it was just really great. So why am I making this video? I'm making this video to say that first of all, God's word going ahead of you makes the ending perfect. It does not make the journey easy, but it assures you of a perfect ending. Two, motherhood is not a joke. I'm trying to keep these videos as short as possible because I don't think I want to make a 30 minutes long video. So I was going to go into details of my experience with motherhood, but I think I'm going to split it into another video. I'm trying to keep these videos max 15 minutes, so um, I'm going to make another video, but I'm just going to drop a highlight. Motherhood, ooh, an entirely different ball game, I tell you. You know how they say that your walk with God will stretch you, it will build you, it will. Motherhood is the real stretcher. Like, oh my God, you will discover levels of strength that you did not know exist with motherhood. And I think I'm getting to that place where I feel like it's one of two things. It's either that strength is buried deep within and then you just don't know about it till that point where you need it, or it is made available for you at that time when you need it. Because I experienced things on this journey of motherhood that I I just know that me as Cynthia, I couldn't have handled those things without breaking down or falling apart. And then I not only handled them, went through them, I did it with a brave face on. I would be laughing and making jokes on my WhatsApp status, and I'm probably at the hospital. I remember one time my daughter needed a blood transfusion, like she's barely 6 weeks old, I think. or 8 weeks, can't remember. And I was posting on WhatsApp and people were laughing and we're chatting and holding conversations, and I was falling apart because my child was in pain. I was a new mom and there was nothing I could do to help. Well, that's how I felt. Like I wasn't doing anything. I mean, I was being there for her, I was breastfeeding her, and but every time I remember that event, I'm like, I don't know how I survived it, but motherhood will stretch you. But guess what? Grace abounds. Grace abounds. Ooh, like I said, don't worry. I'll do more details in my next video. But yeah, I just wanted to lay a sort of foundation for what I'm talking about eventually. And I wanted to make sure that I got a video out. Yes, I wanted to kill that anxiety, that hunger for all of the perfect conditions to be in place. I wanted to kill that by just putting a video out there, and that's what I'm doing right now. So thank you for watching. I will definitely record the video on motherhood as soon as possible. I will not postpone. I will not wait for the perfect conditions. I will do it. All right. So thank you for watching. Do take care. Bye.